So, I'm going to talk today about an old recipe book that I have, which is from the 1970s, and it's an old collection of Scottish recipes from back in the time when Scotland was a very poor country, and a lot of these recipes would have been cooked by people in very basic conditions. We can see here a little wood burning stove and an old pot on the cover. You can imagine a lot of these recipes being lovingly prepared on long, cold winter nights. The crackling fire, rain lashing on old windows, because the weather in Scotland is very changeable. It can be very harsh, and you can only imagine that back in the pre-industrial time, when a lot of these recipes would have been cooked, people lived in very basic, harsh conditions, and they would have looked for comforting food with basic ingredients. There's a lot of fish cooked in Scotland, and this book has very interesting recipes. For example, they used to take the fish and hang them on the washing line outside overnight to cure in salt. And the recipe talks about this, suggests serving the fish that's been hanging on the line overnight with freshly ground black pepper and served with a jug of melted butter. Sounds so nice, I think. And it recommends serving it with barley bannocks. And these barley bannocks are something that has always appealed to me, made me feel very comforted, very relaxed. It's a real comfort food. I remember my grandmother used to make bannocks. What are these bannocks? It talks about them in this section of the book on baking. So we talk about bannocks, bread, scones, biscuits and cakes. And I'll just read a little bit about what the book says about bannocks. It says the word bannock covers several different kinds of foods, and generally it refers to griddle or girdle cakes made with oatmeal, barley meal, peas meal or with flour. There's the Selkirk bannock, the Pitcairnley bannock, which are sweetened tea breads and cakes. From the earliest years, special kinds of bannocks were made every Highland quarter day. On the 1st of February, the Bonnick Bride, or the St Bride's bannock, was cooked to celebrate the first day of spring. The Bonnick Beltane for the first day of summer, the Bonnick Lunastane for the first day of autumn, and the Bonnick Samhain for the first day of winter. Bannocks were baked for a child's birthday, or for the birth of a child, called the crying bannock, and then there was a teething bannock, baked with a ring in it, which was later used as a teething ring. When the bannock was broken, each person got a small piece of it. There were bannocks fired for St Columba's Eve, for marriage and for Christmas. Each of these bannocks is a variety of oat cake. Some are made with eggs, butter, cream and sugar. Today many of these customs have died out, but the bannock remains in several different forms. If using a griddle, then it must be warmed up before starting to cook. So the first recipe for bannocks is for Fife bannocks. It said it's a recipe from the Scottish Women's Rural Institutes. It asks you to prepare 6 ounces of plain flour, 4 ounces of oatmeal, half a teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda, half a teaspoon of cream of tartar, a pinch of salt and a pinch of sugar, 1 rounded teaspoon of butter, a quarter pint, that's 150 mils, of sour milk or buttermilk. Sieve the flour and mix all the dry ingredients together. Then rub in the fat and add enough sour milk or buttermilk to make a soft dough. Turn out onto a lightly floured surface, knead lightly and roll out to a circle. Cut in 4, then put onto a hot griddle which has been rubbed over lightly with a piece of fat, or use a thick bottomed frying pan and cook on both sides until golden brown. Or bake in a hot oven at 400 Fahrenheit or 200 Celsius or gas mark 6 near the top of the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. A second recipe is for barley bannocks. That word barley is just a kind of comforting, relaxing word in itself. It says it was a traditional song about these barley bannocks. And here's to the Highlandmen's bannock o' barley was a line from that traditional song. So the former early method of making barley bannocks was with milk, barley meal, salt and butter. It says in Sutherland whey was used without the butter. Now, Sutherland is a place in the far north of Scotland, and it can only be imagined back in the days before electricity or the comforts that we know just now. These must have been very harsh conditions they lived in, and let's go back to thinking about that crackling fire, rain on the windows in the terrible weather, and someone standing over a stove lovingly preparing these barley bannocks for their family meal. So the modern method contains a little flour, and this makes them easier to handle. So a ½ pound of barley meal, 2 ounces of plain flour, a ½ teaspoon of salt, 1 level teaspoon of cream of tartar, 1 level teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda, a ½ pint of buttermilk or sour milk. So it's to first heat up the griddle or a heavy pan so that it is hot and kneaded. Mix together in a basin the barley meal, the flour, the salt and the cream of tartar. Pour the buttermilk over the bicarbonate of soda and stir well. When it fizzes up, pour into the centre of the barley mixture and work it into a soft dough, adding a little more buttermilk if needed. Dredge with flour, then turn out onto a lightly floured surface, handling as little as possible. Roll out to about ½ an inch or 1.2 centimetres thickness and cut into circles the size of a dinner plate. Lightly rub the griddle or pan over with a lump of fat and then put the bannock on and cook, not too quickly, but until it is brown underneath. Turn them and brown the other side. This recipe makes about 2 large bannocks. The book has lots and lots of other recipes. I've often thought about maybe preparing all of the recipes in this book, maybe making a little blog about it, but I don't think I'll ever get round to that. but it is such a comforting and enjoyable book. Just to imagine how these old recipes were prepared in the times when Scotland was still a poor country. Look at these soups, whole section on soups: barley broth, cockaliki soup, fish soups, game soup, kale brose. That's about kale, which is a really very tough green vegetable, very rich in iron, used a lot in Scottish, traditional Scottish cooking. The brose part is a Gaelic word from the old language of Scotland, meaning a broth. Think about kale brose and athol brose are traditional Scottish foods. Talks about boiling. Very simple brose can be made by simply boiling water poured over an oatmeal. And a green brose was made with nettles, or any other kind of green plant that was available. Indeed, it says that the traditional recipes were very, very fluid, altered according to what choice is available. It's just a little kind of tangent before I go away. But if you can pick this book up online, there's so many interesting stories and old recipes. It really is worth a look. So that's Traditional Scottish Cookery by Theodora Fitzgibbon.